Look into the future. The Puma future, that's what it looks like inside. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my thoughts on the top 5 most anticipated new soccer cleats of 2018. Obviously, the focus of this channel is what's new right now, but rarely do I ever talk about upcoming stuff. From time to time, when we see certain pro players wearing stuff that's unreleased or blacked out shoes in a training session, I'll make a video and share my thoughts on it. But given that 2018 is upon us, I figured I would discuss a little bit more long-term about what I'm personally excited about to come out in 2018. Please note that I am well aware of a lot of the specific information about unreleased products that is out there on the internet, leaks if you will. I don't live under a rock. A lot of you guys send me this stuff like I've never seen it in my life. But trust me guys, I see everything that you're seeing, if not even more than that. However, because I do have a really good relationship with a lot of these brands, talking about unreleased or specific unreleased information is not something that I am going to do on this channel. However, if you guys would like to hear what I am anticipating from a lot of these brands in terms of features, and I think what you can expect in general from some of these new products, that is what I'll be discussing. So if you're curious about what I'd like to see from a couple different brands in 2018, you clicked on the right video. And also, if you enjoy the top 5 series on my channel and want to see more, don't forget to support this one with a like. Let's do this. That's so cheesy. Number 1 is the next generation of Mercurial, whether that's a Superfly 6, whether that's a Vapor 12, or whether that's a Mercurial something else that we don't yet know the name of. I definitely think we can expect that to come out in 2018. Now, we do have some hints already about what that next generation of Mercurial might look like. We've seen pros like Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, as well as a couple other guys wearing blacked out versions of what we assume is the next generation of Mercurial in practices, a mid-cut as well as a low-cut version of, again, what looks to be the exact same shoe. So what does that tell us? It tells us that it's definitely possible that the future of the Nike Mercurial might just be one model. We might not have a Vapor and a Superfly anymore. We might just have a Superfly, but in a low as well as a mid, kind of like what we have right now with the Hypervenom Phantom 3 Low and the Hypervenom Phantom 3 DF, which does not bother me at all. What it does mean though, because the uppers on these shoes do appear to be knitted, or at least have some kind of a knitted base, it means that we could see the end of a Tasian synthetic Nike Mercurial, which a lot of people would be disappointed with. Obviously right now we have the Superfly 5 as well as the Vapor 11, which are the same in terms of their overall base. I would say the general shape of both shoes is fairly similar as well, but one has a one-piece Tasian synthetic upper, the other has a Flyknit upper. And obviously the Flyknit thing has been new since the Superfly 4, so technically it hasn't really been a part of the Mercurial series for all that long, where the Tasian synthetic upper has been a part of the Mercurial Vapor all the way back to the Mercurial Vapor 3. They're on the 11th model now. It's a very, very long going series. I'm holding here as an example a Nike Mercurial Vapor Flyknit Ultra, which was a late limited edition release from Nike. We saw it come out in about 4 different colorways. Yeah, 4, not about. It was definitely just 4. But this is a shoe that kind of gave us a little bit of a look into the future of what we can expect from the next generation of Mercurial. At least that's what we think. That's what I personally think as well. And if the Vapor 12 or Superfly 6 or whatever they're going to call it ends up being anything like this shoe, I definitely won't be disappointed. I think what's always impressive about Nike and the Mercurial line is they managed to keep the exact same formula, the tight fit, the barefoot feel, the responsiveness of the shoe, the super aggressive traction, as well as the lightweight feel. They do that every 2 years, which is about when they end up cycling in a brand new generation, and they somehow make that formula just a little bit better. Obviously, everyone has their favorites over the year, but I think from year to year, for the most part, they generally come out with a better product. And given how good the Vapor 11 and the Superfly 5 are right now, I'm really, really curious to see what's next. We can't talk about a new Mercurial without talking about a new Magista, which is why the Magista Obra 2, or the next generation Magista, is the number 2 spot on this list, because every time we've had a new Superfly, we also get a new Magista Obra. So I expect in 2018, likely around halfway through the year, right before the World Cup, we're probably gonna get something new from this particular line, and Nike needs to do something pretty significant, I think, to the Magista line, because this is a shoe that obviously when they first launched the Magista Obra, which replaced the CTR 360s, that was basically the first official mid-cut and knitted boot to market, which it was very popular mainly because of that reason. It lost a little bit of steam towards the end of the Obra 1 run. And then when they came out with the Magista Obra 2, which I think undeniably is a much better product overall, both from a comfort, fit, as well as just overall performance perspective. But because a lot of people didn't like the look of the Obra 2, it didn't really catch on in terms of overall popularity. It also saw a price increase going from $275 to $300. That may have hurt it as well. But I would say at this point in time, late 2017, the hype around the Magista line, specifically the Magista Obra, is pretty much dead. Nobody seems to really be super excited when a new colorway comes out, or just excited about this shoe in general. It's a shame because it is a legitimately good product, but Nike obviously has something new up their sleeve, I'm sure of that, and I'm really curious to see what that's going to be. We haven't really seen any professional players wearing any kind of blacked out versions of what looks like it could be the next generation of Magista. If it's gonna be the Magista still, if it's gonna still be the Obra, if it's gonna just be the Obra 3, we don't really know. I don't think that the Magista line has been around long enough to where Nike wouldn't feel bad about getting rid of the name entirely. We saw them ditch T90, which obviously stuck around for a long time. Hypervenom is on its 3rd generation now, that replaced the T90s, and then obviously they got rid of CTR 360 after only 3 years. The Magista has only been 2 years, so it definitely wouldn't surprise me if they decide to get rid of it and go for something different from a marketing perspective, because that to me is really how Nike ends up catching fire with a brand new line. They'll try to completely change the name, because originally, believe this or not, the CTR 360 line was never even going to be canceled, but because the difference was so significant coming from the CTR 360 Maestri 3 to the Magista Obra 1, they figured that a brand new name would suit what is a drastically different design in the form of the Magista Obra 1, so they just changed it to Magista. So the possibility of them doing that again, I think, is relatively strong, and whether or not the next generation of this shoe will be anything like the Magista Obra 2, it's really difficult to say. I think we can expect a Flyknit upper. I think we can probably expect something mid-cut, but for the most part, other than that, I don't really know what Nike's going to do. So I'm really, really excited to see what the future of the Magista line ends up being at some point in 2018. The number 3 spot is Adidas in general. What's next for them in 2018? Because as we've seen in the past, they are not afraid to just completely ditch what they're doing and go for something completely new. What I think has been successful for Adidas over the last couple of years is that kind of surprise factor when they release a brand new model. If you look back at when they killed the Predator, the F50, the 11 Pro, as well as the Nitro Charge line, a lot of people were really upset. But at that point in time, those shoes really were not selling well at all. I work very closely with a bunch of different retailers, and they were definitely upset with the sales and popularity of Adidas products. Nike at that point was really, really dominating. Over the last couple of years, with the introduction of the Ace, the X, and the Messi line, we now have the Nemesis, which was new for 2017, and in my opinion, probably the most interesting release we got from the brand in 2017, although I don't necessarily think they were the best of the best. A lot of people watched my best, the top 10 of 2017 video, and I didn't include the Nemesis 17 Plus or the Nemesis 17.1, which a lot of people I think were kind of surprised about. And the reason for that is just because, one, I don't think the 17 Plus would have been on the list. I'm just not a huge fan of the shoe. The 17.1 is definitely better. And the 17.1, as unique as the design is, the overall feel of the shoe isn't too far off from the X line. And if I'm picking from the X line and the Nemesis line, I just think the Pure Speed is the better shoe overall. But that is, to me, I think the Nemesis was the most interesting of 2017. Obviously, we saw the return of the Predator, but here's my beef with the Predator. Had they just called the new Predator line the Ace 18s, nobody really would have questioned why it was still called the Ace, because basically it is still the Ace line. They just rebranded it as Predator now, and everyone's gonna have their own discussion on that as well. So for 2018, what is the next big evolution for them? Because the Nemesis line, I think it was popular when it first came out, but I definitely don't see the popularity at that same level anymore. The X16 to 17 was basically the exact same thing. And then the Copa line obviously just isn't very popular at all. And Adidas isn't giving it any marketing attention. I don't think that their next big deal shoe is going to be something with a leather upper. Is there going to be a new Predator that's more along the lines of something that we've seen in the past from the line? Is it going to be something completely new in general? Is the next X going to be something more along the lines of what we had from the F50 Adizero in the past? Is the F50 going to come back? Because obviously they seem to be liking the idea of bringing back some of these older names. The F50 was something that stuck around for a very long time until they killed it off. Not as long as the Predator, but I think a lot of people recognize that name still. So again, I'm really curious to see what they're going to do. Obviously the whole laceless thing, I think, is something that they're not going to stray away from, because people seem to be really fascinated with it still, even though I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world for reasons that I've explained in my videos. But Adidas 2018, I think it's going to be really interesting. The number 4 spot goes to New Balance, which is one of those brands that really needs to do something special in 2018 to redeem themselves. Obviously they have the kit deals with some big clubs, Liverpool I think being the most popular, but as far as their soccer cleats are concerned, I really don't think they've done anything that is not even close to what the other brands are doing, especially at the top end price points. I made the top 5 worst soccer cleats of 2017, which of course is just my opinion, having tried everything or most of the stuff that came out in 2017. And one of the shoes on that list was this guy right here, the New Balance Vizaro 2.0. Now, usually whenever I make any kind of heavy criticism on any product period, there's usually at least one person that comes through the comments and disagrees with me because they've had a much better experience with that exact same product. Perfectly understandable. But with all the criticism that I've made of the New Balance Vizaro 2, nobody has ever argued against my opinion. It seems to be a unanimous agreement that this just isn't a very good product and nobody really likes it all that much. And that seems to be the general, I guess, viewpoint of the entire New Balance product lineup at the moment, which is obviously not good for the brand. They had somewhat of a successful launch when they transitioned from Warrior to New Balance. I thought the original Vizaro was a decent shoe, although the shape was a little bit off. But really, aside from that, we haven't really seen anything all that great from the New Balance brand. They release products that are passable to a certain extent, but there's nothing about them that would make you want to buy a New Balance soccer cleat over a Nike or an Adidas or a Puma soccer cleat, or even Under Armour, which I guess they have to be concerned about in terms of who they're realistically competing against. The only time people are actually buying these things if they find them at a New Balance outlet store for like 30 bucks or something like that, which is obviously not the direction you want to be headed in if you're going to remain in the soccer market. The other thing that needs to be considered here is the fact that New Balance seems to be dropping all of their endorsed athletes. I made a video recently about Fellaini, who's actually suing New Balance because he found his boots so uncomfortable throughout his time under contract with them. That's a completely different story. Aaron Ramsey, who seemed to be their major main face endorsed athlete, is no longer with the brand either. So if they're not signing on new players, or at least maintaining the players that they have, is this a sign that New Balance is planning on getting out of the soccer market altogether? It wouldn't surprise me that when all of these kit endorsement deals that they have with clubs like Liverpool and the other clubs that they have, once those are done, I don't think it would be too crazy to assume that New Balance is probably going to get out of the soccer market altogether. So are we going to see some new stuff out of New Balance in 2018? I hope so, and I wish for the best in terms of how good those products are going to end up being. But as of right now, they definitely need something really special to save themselves. And finally, the 5 spot on this list goes to Under Armour, a brand that I've made fun of a lot as of late because of the spotlight too, the zipper boot as it's known on this channel. And as goofy as this product is, it isn't legitimately that bad. It is a very wearable product and a capable top-end shoe to a certain extent. Is it top 10? Is it even top 20? No, not necessarily. And I think the zipper thing is very gimmicky and strange, and most people just probably don't like the look of this shoe, including myself. But they do have the clutch fit line as well, which is on its 3rd generation, due to be replaced anytime. And I'm a little bit concerned. So in 2018, I'm sure we're going to get something new from Under Armour, if not 2 brand new models, because I don't think the Spotlight is doing all that well for them. So really, the excitement level here is around what is next for the Under Armour brand. Are they going to maintain the clutch fit technology on that Clutch Fit Force 3.0? I personally don't think we're going to see it anymore because they seem to be getting away from clutch fit material on all of their other lines. What generally happens with pretty much any major brand, technologies that you see in running shoes will also be in their basketball shoes, will also be in their soccer cleats. They kind of go across the entire brand, and given that clutch fit seems to be going away for Under Armour, at least based on what I've seen, I don't think we're going to continue that in soccer cleats either. They seem to be doing a lot of knitted stuff as of late, so maybe we're going to get an Under Armour knitted boot in 2018, which I'd be really, really curious about. And again, this is one of those brands that I think has never gotten the respect that they deserve in the soccer cleat world, just because they are one of the newer brands out there, and a lot of people just don't trust their products. But they've had some fantastic stuff over the years. I think the problem with Under Armour has always been that they have 2 lines. One ends up being really good, but the other one ends up being so bad that people are skeptical of the one that ends up being really good, which obviously is kind of the case right now with the Spotlight and the Clutch Fit. And it was kind of the same situation with the Clutch Fit and the original Spotlight as well. I actually happen to think this is a much better shoe than the original Spotlight was. I didn't think those were very good or very wearable for that matter, but because one doesn't end up being all that great and the other one is really good, again, it kind of hurts the reputation of the brand in general. So what's next for Under Armour? I think that's going to be really, really exciting in 2018. Hopefully, please, Under Armour, if you're watching this video, don't put a zipper anywhere near your next boot. Just a couple honorable mentions, because I didn't want to talk about every single brand, because obviously pretty much every brand is going to have at least something new in 2018. Joma is one that definitely needs to be brought up, especially on this channel. I've made fun of the Champion Max a lot in 2017. It made quite a big impression on a lot of people, and Nike now knows about it, and I'm sure they're not too happy. So will we see something like this again out of Joma in 2018? I would doubt it, but hey, anything is possible. So we'll see what they end up doing. And then the other one I wanted to talk about is Mizuno and the Mercurial Neo 2. Obviously the Mercurial Neo was kind of a cool concept when it first came out. It stayed the same for about 2 or 3 years. Then they gave us the Neo 2, which basically is the same shoe with the 2 at the end, and it's been around for 2 or 3 years. So it's been quite a while since we've seen any significant change to this particular line. Not to say there's necessarily something significantly wrong with these that needs to be updated, but I'd like to see something new from Mizuno with this particular concept. I think they can do better with some kind of improved design in 2018, but again, only time will tell. Anyways, guys, those are the top 5 most anticipated soccer cleat releases of 2018, at least for me personally. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. And feel free to leave down below in the comments what you're excited about in 2018 as well. Always curious to read what you guys have to say. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks for watching.